Time and again, we have to revise it. Time and again, we have to rethink about every stage and how we can make our research protocol errorless. That we have to take into consideration. So I feel that purification of research protocol is a very important stage. Next slide, please. Thank you. One more sentence is there in the slide. Okay, previous slide. Fine, thank you, thank you. Now this is the sentence I really adore. Those who know how to think need no teachers. See, the right thinking in the research is a pivotal. I'm much concerned about this word thinking, because thinking leads to attitude and attitude leads to behavior. So at the time of research, or when a particular person wants to be a researcher, or he want to take up research as a career, now with what thoughts, with what attitude, with what behavior the person is entering into the fray of research, that is very, very important for me to know. Whether your thinking is towards quality research or quantity research. If I ask a simple question to you, what is the basic object that you want to go for the research? And if your answer is you want to present a paper in the conference or maybe seminar, you want to publish the bundle of research papers to your credit, you want to go for a research degree, that is MPhil or PhD, then probably, my friend, you are thinking in another direction which is not expected to the quality research. The research is to be undertaken with an object to solve and address the basic issues into the society, or basic issues of the trade, commerce, industry, and management. And I personally feel, of course, next slide talks about that. I personally feel that your publications, your credentials, your educational qualification, research qualification, preferably that is MPhil and PhD, are just the milestones in the voyage of the quality research. Okay. Let me ask you another question. Are you a copycat or an originator? Naturally, your answer would be no, we are not copycat, we are originator. For instance, let me ask you, what research problem that you are undergoing right now or you are taken for the research, just see whether that research problem is descriptive, diagnostic, or that research problem is exploratory and experimental. If you are dealing into the descriptive and diagnostic research problem, then probably you are a copycat. Because whatever the categories and variables you have taken to test it, these categories and variables you have definitely taken from the review of literature. Okay, and those variables or categories you are testing on a different kind of samples in a different geography, in a different scenario. Okay, no doubt these researches are also warranted, but out of my experience, let me tell you, we did not get much of creativity, much of new knowledge out of the descriptive and diagnostic kind of research. Okay, they are just the imitating one design at one place to imitating or putting the same design at the another place. Okay, if you are into the exploratory and experimental kind of research, then definitely there are n number of chances that you are going to get the new discoveries, new facts, new findings, probably new models, new solutions to the concurrent problem. Next slide, please. Friends, please understand, we all are the members of social sciences, and we are not the members of the physical sciences. In physical sciences, what happens is, if you take a particular domain and come out with the novelty, come out with the discovery, then that discovery is applicable uniformly throughout the globe. But that does not happen with the research in social sciences. Why? It is because our subject is the people, and we have to deal with the thinking, attitude, and behavior of the people. And the very group of population, as such, we say this population is quite heterogeneous, and it is very difficult for us to find out the identifiable or representative samples, and that becomes our research very complex. Now, continuing with the last slide, slide. Again, I want to focus on the attitude towards research. I personally believe that the researcher should get the degree and not the earned degree. Okay, am I reverse? Probably I'm wrong. Okay, just I want to test you. Fine. In my opinion, researcher should earn the degree and not get the degree. Okay, and that is the basic difference in between the approach. Fine. Are you number oriented or quality oriented? I personally feel, or rather, it is my prescription to you. You should be quality oriented. You should not look at the number. Okay, fine. I agree. At the initial stage, the numbers are important because something should be there on the scorecard than zero, isn't it? But you should restrict your numbers of publication at a certain level, and then onwards, you have to shift for the quality research. One paper in a year or one paper in 2 years, that too in Scopus Index Journal, ABDC Index Journal, means a lot. If you are focusing on registering your models, registering your output of the research as a copyright, or probably you are registering or you are taking the patents of your processes which you have developed, or the statistical models what you have developed, which are having a much practical implementations, then that is a much or that is equated to 100 research publications. So from my point of view, the publications in high impact factor journals, Scopus, ABDC, or going for copyrights or going for patent, it is moreover valuable to me. So you should give such kind of output which is really useful in providing the solutions for the problem cited in the society and management. Next slide, please. Okay. Okay, fine. I think in the last 6 days, you have a feast of number of different concepts. I think you have learned about Udkud. I mean, you have learned about Mendeley because I have read that in a brochure, and
Yes, sir.
even
Yes.
one session was there on API. I remember my teacher, Professor Dr. A.M. Guru sir, has dealt with that topic. Even yesterday we had a discussion on that as well. Fine. So, what is API? API is the Academic Performance Index, which is there in India. I don't know if the same kind of index is there in other developing nations or the other developed nations. I don't know about that. It is my ignorance. But let me ask one question to the very word API. Are the numbers killing quality research? My answer to is yes. The numbers killing quality research. If you consider the post API scenario, you'll find there is a mushroom growth of research. There is mushroom growth of output of research in the form of textbooks, other books which are termed as reference. But again, I'm doubtful whether these books are really termed as a reference books. Then the mushroom growth in the papers publications, and so on. And to quench the thirst of this mushroom growth of publications, we'll also find that we have a mushroom growth of research journals. Okay, and the trend has started. You write any kind of paper and you submit it to any kind of journal, just pay the fees of 1,500, 2,000, or something like that, and your paper is get selected. I really wonder how come the journals they give you the feedback within some hours and a days, stating that your paper has accepted by the referee. Generally, this process is very long process, and really I wonder how it happen overnight. And very bad culture that we are living in, that is pay and publish. Now, this is the scenario which is really worried scenario as far as the research domain is concerned, and the huge research that we have created and rather creating. But what is the use of this huge research to the society and solving the problems of industry? Now, you'll find on the television also, whenever something happens in the world, you take the case of Corona or maybe the industrial slowdown, maybe the labor problems, or something happens in the sea or maybe in the sky, something like that. Immediately in the developed nations, the people they rush towards the professors, they rush towards the universities to ask the reason for it. And the university professor's opinion on the event happened, it is really respected. If something goes wrong with the industry abroad, especially in developing countries or developed countries, then the universities or management institutes, they are there to find out the solutions. Okay, but what is happening in India? Does this really happen in India? Does the society and the industry, trade and commerce, they rush to the professors and management institutes and universities to seek the problem? No, there is a gap, because everyone knows that we are not really producing the quality kind of output. This is the fact, though it is a bitter fact. We have to accept it, and then we have to change ourselves. My friends, uh, you need to understand the research. See, research is a complete science, and no areas of research is untouched from the experts to discover. The sufficient amount of literature is available on every step of research, every component of research protocol. You just name it, and the huge literature is available. We need to understand this literature. Research is not the assembly job. What I'm looking right now at the present, it has become an assembly job. Okay, you outsource so many of the things, you get it done, and at the end you assemble it, and you just publish it or put it before the experts to get the research degree. No, that is very bad culture that we have, and we should change it. We should deviate it from this culture. Every research scholar should understand the research as a science. You yourself has to be into the depth of every aspect of research. You have to learn it, you have to know it, you have to understand it, you have to perform it, and at the end, I would say you should enjoy it. You should have an habit to live with this research, and then only priorly we are going to attain our very basic objective of quality research. Friends, probing depth into the methodology, it determines the value and reliability of the research. These two words are very important for me: value and reliability. Now, reliability here, I'm talking about the generalization of your results to the masses. Okay, I spoke it a little bit earlier. In social sciences, we work on samples, and from the samples, we take the opinions, we take the data. That data we analyze, we have some findings, and we say at the end that these findings are the representative of that particular population. And if your research protocol is not reliable, if your research protocol is not purified, then with a very responsibility, let me share it with you. I would term your research is only applicable to those samples, and your research is not applicable to the population as such. And that research, to, in my opinion, is null and void. It's of no use. Fine. The depth you go, you uncover the ignorance and discover the science behind it. Okay, now this is very, very important word. I keep on sharing with my research associate. I repeat it for you. The depth you go, you uncover the ignorance and you discover the science behind research. And you are there to discover the science behind research. The generalization of research findings, it is very, very important for me. Next slide, please. Am I clearly audible, please? Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
You are
Okay.
audible.
It is going well, no? Or
Yes, sir.
okay, fantastic. Now here is the process of
Absolutely
research.
fine, sir.
I have presented, fine. I have presented the process in a diagrammatic form. You'll find 10 steps that I have mentioned. Okay. Now I have a very different kind of loop to look at this research process. I can categorize this research process into three groups. First, 5 stages, I will term it as pre-pilot. Then the second group, only 6 stages I include, that is pilot testing, and the rest 4 steps I'll group it and labeled it as the post-pilot stages. Okay, now see, when you go for the pilot testing, what exactly you do? You test all these 5 steps. Okay, so whatever 5 steps that you have detailed, you have to test it, and that testing is called the pilot testing. If pilot testing turns right, then and then only you are allowed to follow the next 4 steps. Otherwise, again, you have to go back, you have to revise, and you have to recorrect probably. Maybe you are going to reformulate the hypothesis, then again, you reformulate the objectives, you redefine the scope, you have changes into the research design, that is statistical design, operational, observational design, sampling design. Probably you are again going to revise the research instrument, that is schedule or questionnaire, and again you have to go for the pilot testing. You will conduct the pilot testing till time your research protocol become errorless. Okay. See, the research process is a gamut which is interrelated and interdependent. All these stages are interrelated and all these stages are interdependent, so that we have to understand this dependability is very, very important. See, if you are weak at the formulation stage, the entire research protocol will get weakened. If you reach weak at the research design, though you are strong at research problem formulation and hypothesis setting, then again, because of the poor research design, you will land up with a poor pilot testing, and rest of the stages would be poorly. So that won't work. These interrelations that we need to understand. The ultimate aim of research is to provide the prescriptions for a problem cited during the research process. So that is what our aim is. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Fine, thank you. Now, this is the diagram of research protocol. So this is 10-step diagram that I have mentioned. Step number 1 is introduction. Second is management and social problem. Third is statement of research problem. Fourth is hypothesis of the study. Fifth is objectives of the study. Sixth is scope of study. Then importance of study, research methodology, organization of research project or research report, and the last is the references. Okay, let's study one by one in brief. Now, first is the introduction, wherein it is expected that researchers should narrate the background of research issue. Now, it is expected that researchers should mention what exactly the origin of the research problem, whether the origin is from the literature review or whether the origin is from the field. So we are talking about deductive and inductive method of defining the research problem. Here, the researcher is expected to define a particular context of the research problem, write elaborately. Okay, let me not give you the quantitative kind of terms, but I have found that generally the research scholar, they write the research issue in some lines, maybe 8 or 10 lines. No, that is not sufficient. You have to write the entire gamut or entire scenario of that research issue right from its origin, then how it has unfolded and now it has landed to this kind of problem. So this entire process of research issue that you have to write. Then the second step is defining the management and social problems. Now we deduct the management or social problems from the research issue, wherein we define the research problem in detail, and we also write the crux of literature review here, because when we have a research issue, we have so many questions in our mind as a researcher. Then we try to find out the answers for our own questions in the literature review. For some, we get the answers, for some, we don't. So these research questions which are left unanswered, we write it here. And the list of research questions here would be very huge. Maybe you are having 20, 30, 40 odd research questions which are unanswered, for which you want to find out the solutions, for which you want to find out the answers. And then we define the research gap, what is exactly done as far as this research issue is concerned, and what is left to be done as far as the research domain that you indulge into. Now, here I'm saying that you are having a huge list ready. of the research question for which you have to find out the answers. Now, not all the questions you cannot take for the research because you are having the resource constraint, time and money. So what do you do? The next step, that is statement of research problem. See, simply the basic research books talks about the statement of research problem is nothing but the restatement of a management problem. What does this mean? This means that when we are having the gamut and list of research questions, all the research questions we cannot address. So what do? We group these research questions on the basis of some commonalities. Okay. And when we are having these groups of research questions, we try to arrange these research questions groups on the basis of priority. And it is expected, looking towards the resource scenario, one of the groups of research questions researcher need to take for the study. And from that, we derive the statement of research problem. We say that we are having n number of questions listed unanswered for which we have to find out the answer. But because of resource constraint, we are only in this research, we are only taking a particular group which carries 4 or 5 research questions to find out the answer with the help of scientific research methodology. It is that simple. Fine. And when you identify a particular group to find out the answers, then you have to give the justification as well. What is the importance of that particular question group, which has got much relevance to address in the particular time frame, and that is the reason you are going for addressing those questions. Now, when your research questions are set, applying the little knowledge, maybe applying the knowledge which you earn from the review of literature, applying your own experiences, when you answer to these questions, those answers which are a affirmative statement are called as hypothesis. Hypothesis, it is that simple term. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a skeptical assumption about desired results. Desired results. Okay. So when we have a question, we give the answer to that particular question. We don't know as a researcher that answer is right or wrong, and that is the reason we are putting that answer to test. And that statement which we put to test, that is the answer. That answer is called hypothesis. Okay. So the term hypothesis, technically, it is very easy to understand. Fine. In my opinion, we always derive the objectives from the hypothesis. It is my saying that objectives are the directives towards data collection and nothing more. Fine. Again, the issue of controversy is there. What comes first, whether the hypothesis or objective? Now, in my opinion, hypothesis come first and followed by objectives. Okay. Next point that we have to take into consideration, that is scope of research. Now, what frame that we are going to determine? Now, scope of the research study, this really defines its applications. Okay, more the scope of the study, more likely to be the applications of your research, and lesser the scope of your study, lesser likely to be the applications. Again, there are some different issues of discussion. If the scope is more, then probably you are land up with the macro kind of research, and if the scope is a little bit narrow, then probably you are probing very depth into the research issues, and your research is going to be very micro in a sense. Anyway, but when you are defining the scope of the study, you have to take into consideration some of the aspects like geographical scope, conceptual scope, analytical scope, historical scope, and biological scope. Okay, not all researches in social sciences requires to define historical scope and biological scope. It depends what research problem that you are handling. So accordingly, you have to define the scope. Okay. Now the next step is the importance of research study, wherein researcher try to narrate the importance to whom the research study is very important. Whether it is carrying any importance to the society or industry or organization or government or any other stakeholders, so that we have to clearly define it. Next stage is research methodology, which is the heart of the research design, because research methodology preferably talks about the research design, the sampling design, the instrument design, statistical design, and operational design. Okay, so all these components must be the part of research methodology. Okay, now research design, we are having major four types of research designs. There could be different of opinions, but in my opinion, there are four types of research design. First is exploratory research design, then descriptive research design, diagnostic research design, and experimental research design. Little bit discussion that we have had in the earlier slides as well. Now, in research methodology, researcher has to define what data they are going to require and what would be the data sources. Whether the entire data is going to be come from primary source or secondary source, or is a combination of primary and secondary source, that we need to define it very clearly. Then we talk about the instruments in detail, whether the instrument is in the form of a schedule or a questionnaire or merely it is an observation sheet. Okay. Then sampling frame, here we have to consider the universe, then population, and the sampling unit as such. Okay, these are all different terminologies. There is a difference between universe and population, and from population generally we get the sampling units. The very critical point that here we have to decide about the representative of samples. So how many samples that we have to go for is a general quest for debate and discussion. Earlier we used to go for thumb rule, 10% of the population, or maybe 300 plus 400 plus samples in social sciences used to do. But now we are having a very handy statistical tools to our help, and using these statistical tools, we can measure the accurate size of samples. Even the statistical tools are so beautiful, which help us to find out the number of samples using the different kind of strata, isn't it? So we should not go for the thumb tools. We have to rely on the statistical tools. Then we have to decide about the data analysis. Now, in what way we are going to go for the data analysis? What tools we are going to use for testing the hypothesis, whether they are going to be parametric test or non-parametric test or a combo of parametric or non-parametric test, and rest of the statistical tools, whether we are going to apply the measures of central tendency, measures of dispersion, or we are going to apply the multivariate tools like factor analysis, conjoint analysis, cluster analysis, discriminant analysis. We are having array of variety tools available in statistics. But one thing we have to remember is, since we are having some kind of knowledge about the statistics, then it does not mean that you, whatever you know about the statistical tool, the entire statistical tools that you have to apply. Sorry, don't do that. The very relevant or selective and necessary statistical tools that we have to select and apply on the data collected. Next, you have to write about the concept use, because in social sciences, one concept may have different dimensions. Okay. Now, if I say my research is on children, now children, I need to define to whom I'm going to term as a children, isn't it? Whether the children at the age of 4, or maybe 4 to 10, or maybe 10 to 12, before teenagers, to whom I'm going to term as a children, that we need to define, because many of the terms are very vague in social sciences, and in this point it is expected you detail these concepts. And the last point is pilot testing. My friends, this is very serious and important step in research methodology. Out of my experience, I've observed that 95% of the research reports, maybe though are they are the article or MPhil dissertation or PhD thesis, does not carry pilot testing. I really doubt on the reliability and value of those research protocols, because if they are not undergone the pilot testing, then I feel that research protocol has not been purified, and there is much question on the generalization of the research findings. Okay, I said that 95% I don't find. In 5% of the cases, what happened is the research scholars, they imitate the research design of the earlier done renowned or stalwart research scholars. So, for example, if you are working on the measurement of quality of any service industry, and if you are going to use the cervical model, then probably I think pilot testing is of no use, because already the cervical model, which comes with the 22 variables, it has tested over a period of time, and thousands of articles are readily available. And even if you take direct data using the cervical variables, definitely you'll find the reliability is more than zero point 0.8 or zero point 0.9. So in my opinion, pilot testing does not suffice any meaning or any purpose in that case. Next point is that is the organization of report. Having done all these 8 stages, whatever the research that you have done, whatever the findings that you have, how you are going to articulate those research stages with the help of the chapters. Okay, you may have some different chapters, maybe 4 chapters, 5 chapters, and so that you have to mention over here clearly. And generally, in the same step, we also define or we also clarify what annexure that we are going to have to the research report. And the last stage is, that is 10th stage, we think about the bibliography and references. There is technical difference in between bibliography and references. We are having so many styles available to write the citations, that is APA style or MLA style or Harvard style. No, we are from the fraternity of commerce and management, especially management. The Harvard style of writing citation is more prescribed, but we don't use it. Why? It is because APA style is easily available, and even the industry demands APA style. Fine, we go for the APA style. And in the last 6 days, I have learned from the brochure, that is the FDP brochure, that one of the session was on the Mendy. Now you can use Mendeley, you can use Zotero, even MS Word is also there, wherein the reference menu will help you out to go for scientific listing of the references and the citations what you have used for your research. I think that this much of discussion is enough as far as the research protocol is concerned. See, if you take any step in this research protocol, we can talk hours together, because as I already mentioned, this is entirely a science, and for every step, the huge literature is now available. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, this next 3 slides, including this, is something different to you probably. The slides which I have already explained to you, probably you are aware of all these knowledge, but this I am going to present something new. Now, what I've done here is, we are having 2 columns. One is process and second is quality check. I have mentioned the different steps of the research process, the research protocol, and what quality checks the researcher need to take care of. That has also been mentioned. Now, the purpose behind developing this kind of exercise is, uh, we have to find it out. Can we minimize the errors into the research? Already in social sciences, we have so many errors. Okay, we commit the errors at the time of sampling. We commit the errors at the time of execution of our instrument. We have the errors in data feeding, data analysis, data purification, so many errors that we commit. And that is the reason most of our research outputs cannot be generalized. Fine. So my effort is to make you understand. You understand these quality checks, you implement these quality checks, and definitely you will get good results to minimize the errors into your research protocol. Let's run over it. Fine. The problem identification, we are having basic 2 approaches. I spoke about it: inductive approach and deductive approach. In inductive approach, we go from observation, pattern, hypothesis, and theory. And in a deductive approach, we go from theory, hypothesis, observation, and confirmation. Now, these 2 approaches are really contradictory to each other, because in one approach, that is inductive approach, we are talking from the perspective of practical to theory, and in the second approach, that is deductive approach, we are talking about the approach from theory to practical. So definitely, when we are talking about this kind of contradictions into the approaches, the context of research changes, and accordingly, your research design and the treatment what you are going to give to the implementation of research design, that changes. Okay. Next is the hypothesis. When you state the hypothesis, you have to consider the very features of good hypotheses. Now there are a list of features that we have to cross check, and we have to see that whatever statement that we have stated as a hypothesis, whether that statement or these statements suffice the norms of features. The hypothesis must have conceptual clarification, so you have to test it. whether hypothesis you have stated can be tested really with the help of statistical tools, or the statistical tools are really available to test the hypothesis which you have put to test. So these kind of basic features of good hypothesis you have to look into it. Then supplementary hypothesis testing, which I really prescribe and which I am being following last couple of years. Why it is? Because there is a huge debate in the social sciences whether a social science scientist should go for using parametric test or not. Because in many of the instances, we do not have the parametric base available. We do not have the parameters or the population parameters available. So how come the researcher in social sciences can go for parametric test? Now, my simple answer to it is, when we collect the huge amount of data, generally the data behaves normally, and we can take the mean out of that particular data, or maybe the variances out of particular data, and we can take those measures as a parameters and we can test it. One. Second is, we are having the pilot testing, and from the pilot testing also we can get the measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion, and those measures we can put as a parameter and we can test it. So no hassle as such. But since there are the debates and discussions, what generally I prescribe is, I generally go for the second opinion. And the second opinion is testing the same data with the help of non-parametric test. If your data behaves non-normal, okay, then generally we use the non-parametric test first. And as a second opinion, I support the non-parametric test with the using of parametric test. Unfortunately, till time, I got the good results. No, in no case I get the contradictory results. And why it is? The reason is very simple, because I generally believe in a very hard pilot study. I go for 2 or 3 times as far as pilot study is concerned, and that way I purify my research protocol, and that is the result I get in this testing of parametric and non-parametric test. Again, at this juncture, while using the test, though it is a parametric or non-parametric, researcher has to consider that every test has got its own conditions, and whether your data really sufficing those conditions or not, that you need to understand. See, we are having different measurement scales, isn't it? You are aware about these scales: nominal scale, ordinal scale, then ratio scale, and interval scale. Okay, so some parametric tools or some parametric statistics are only supportive to the ratio scale, which cannot be applied to the nominal scale or ordinal scales. So these kind of conditions we need to check. Fine. Next is the qualitative observations. Okay, when a researcher is there into the field, uh, when he is interacting with the samples, then definitely he get more qualitative data. Sometimes the sample also outspoke about the conditions he is living in relation with the research issue that you are going to handle, by which you are going to get the more variables out of it. And all these qualitative observations you need to synthesize when you are testing the hypothesis or writing the findings. Okay, so the next step is that review of literature. Now we are having different types of reviews of literature. Let me not get into it again; it will consume more time. But you have to understand which type of review of literature is suitable to your research issue, and that type of literature review you need to adopt. At the many instances, majority of the research reports I have seen, more than 90%, that review is presented with the help of the paragraph. No, that is not the way we have to present the literature review. Literature review needs to be presented in the form of synthesis. Okay, so what one researcher has found it out in the same research domain, what another researcher has found it out, whether these two findings are going hand in hand or they are contradictory or something like that. So you have to interwoven these kind of findings, then you will again interwoven the third finding and the fourth finding and so on, and likewise you keep on interwoven these findings of different researchers, and you are leading a discussion, and that discussion which end up with defining the research gap. It is that simple. And just just practice it, and you'll really enjoy synthesis of review of literature. That is the scientific way which we have to write the review of literature. Next is defining the objectives, whether your objectives are in line with the hypothesis, whether your hypothesis is in line with the statement of research problem, whether your statement of research problem is in line with the research issue. See, it is a simple gamut, isn't it? First, the research issues come, then the statement of research problem, then the hypothesis, then the objectives. Okay, they are interrelated to each other, and they should be there into one line only. They should not falter from each other. They should be unidirectional kind of direction to all these gamut of research issues, then statement, then hypothesis, and then objectives. Then only you are likely to land up with the quality research. Can I have next slide, please? Okay, this is continuation with the last slide, that is research design. And the next step is research design, wherein we are going to talk about the instrument testing, sampling, statistical design, and interview. Okay, I'll go first. Instrument testing, every instrument that you can test, rather you must test on the platform of reliability. Cronbach alpha, split half method, we are having some handy methods available with us. You have to apply it, and this definitely the reliability testing will facilitate the further thinking of improving the reliability. Say for example, if you are having 10 statements for the testing on a 5-point scale, and if you find the reliability is zero point 0.5, which is not good, so what you can do is the SPSS facilitated one more window. So can you delete one of the variables by which you get, or you can improve the reliability? If it is, then you have to take liberty to delete that variables, and you can improve the reliability. So that kind of reliability analysis that we have to probe into. Next, I will advise all the research scholars that you must go for physical verification of your data collection instrument. And now the physical verification can be done with the help of the experts or seniors. Experts are referred to industrial experts, consultants, and seniors are referred to the academicians. So it is always better because they are all seniors. They are stalwarts. They have gone through such kind of researches many times. So probably you'll get some new set of categories or variables which you have not given a thought of, and that is going to be an added advantage. Sampling, I spoke about it earlier also. We have to consider the universe, population, sample size calculation. Don't go for thumb rules, and sampling method. Which sampling method that you are going to use, whether it is probability sampling or non-probability sampling. It's all depend on the nature of population. We are having two types of population. One is finite population, second is infinite population. And the method is very clear-cut mentioned. If you are having finite population, then you have to go for probability sampling method. If you are having a infinite population, then you have to go for the non-probability sampling method. Technically, there is no type called the infinite population as such. All the population that are countable, they are finite population. But for some instances, it is difficult to count the population, and hence we are having a category called non. This is infinite population, and for which we apply the non-probability sampling. Now, I'll advise at the major stakes, if it is possible for you to quantify the population, quantify the universe, do it, because you get a chance to apply the uh, probability kind of sampling method, which land up with the less errors, because there is less bias, and that is why the less errors. Fine. Then statistical design, I think I spoke about it. You have to decide about the statistical tools to test the hypothesis. Even statistical tools like measures of central tendency, measures of dispersion, and multivariate variable analysis that you have to select, and you have to use the proper use of this statistical tool. Don't overburden or use make overuse of these statistical tools. Otherwise, your report will become highly technical. Fine. Okay. The next is interview. Since we are our subject is sample, we have to interview the sample. We have to take the opinion and the data from the sample. So ethically, we need to convey our objectives. Who are we? We have to tell to the sample. We have to convince them. We should not force the sample to be a part of our research. We have to convey the purpose. If it is possible, you have to show your identity on the paper, maybe your identity card and all. Then your sample would probably uh, uh, ready to participate in your research. You have to make your sample relax. That is very important, because if you make your sample relax, then you are likely to get the normal kind of opinions. If your sample is much happier, or if your sample is much sad, much unhappy, probably his responses would be biased. And we are there to take the unbiased kind of responses. Again, we have to think about the arrangement of the research questions. Can we put the personalized questions at the end? Because if you ask the personalized questions at the beginning only regarding your salary and your property and so on and so forth, probably the perception of research, perception of sample would become different, and probably he will perceive that you are a man from the government authorities. He will report it, and something go worst in the future as far as his credentials are concerned. So we have to think about it. Many times it happens that researcher need to ask some of the questions regarding the habits, whether a sample has the habit of tobacco or liquor or something like that. Then this kind of question is better you put at the end. So this will not really hamper the opinion on rest of the questions, which are again very important for us. Then the observational design, you have to specifically think about the observational design. When you are talking about the samples, you have to read between the lines. You have to see the scenario in which the sample is staying. Probably you need to ask some of the open-end questions to the samples. Samples will speak out, and all these points. Maybe you are getting new kind of variables, especially at the time of pilot testing. You have to note it down, and then you can think of inclusion of these variables into your main course of research design. Pilot testing, I spoke much about this. Pilot testing is a must, and you have to go for repetitive pilot testing till you nullify the errors of your research protocol. Next slide, please. This is again continuation with the last slide, and this is the third slide of the quality check and the research process. Now, data analysis. Here you have to devise the data analysis in detail. What would be the data analysis scheme? Whether you are going to present the data in different kind of parts, what you are going to use to present the data, whether it is a univariate tabulation or bivariate tabulation or multivariate tabulation. Then at the time of data feeding, you have to take due care. I generally prescribe you feed the data into MS Excel, because MS Excel will give you the facility of data validation check, wherein you can join the entering false data. Okay, many times it happens when you are having a 5-point scale and you are there to enter the data without putting validity check. So instead of putting 2 or instead of putting 5, unknowingly you put 22 or 55, and this really disturbs your averages. Okay. Then variable coding is also very important, because the statistical packages demand the variable coding. Generally, we go for alphanumeric code. SPSS demands that. Data validity, you can go for checking the data validity, and importantly, you have to think about the outliers. So what decision you are going to take about the outliers, whether you are going to retain with the outliers, or you are going to prune the outliers. My prescription is it is always better to prune the outliers, because the outliers disturb the entire gamut of averages. Okay. Testing of hypothesis, when you have defined a hypothesis, it is inevitable. You have to test the hypothesis with using the appropriate tools, and every hypothesis tool has got its own conditions. Please understand, in the recent thesis reported by one university, I found that the hypothesis has been tested using some kind of techniques. I really object. How come we can use some of the techniques to test the hypothesis? Because generally we used to use tools to test the hypothesis. So that difference you have to understand in your you implement it. Next is findings. Must we discuss the findings of your research with the earlier researches? That generally I don't find in the research report. See, when you have gone for the review of literature, you have taken the variables from review of literature, and this review of literature is the work which has already been done by the experts. They are having their own findings, and on the basis of your research, when you get the finding, you have to synthesize your finding with the finding of the earlier researchers. Okay, what is harm in that? whether your finding is lying with the early researcher, whether your finding is contradictory to it or what, that you have to mention, and it will come out with a very beautiful kind of discussion. Every finding must be a discussion as such, and you have to take this finding in a sufficient length. I see the finding generally mentioned in 4 or 5 lines. No, don't do that. Go for the elaborations, isn't it? Even you can add these secondary data or maybe the concurrent data, what happened yesterday, if it related with your research issue and finding, add it, because that adds the value of your finding, isn't it? Then the prescription, this is the cream of your research report. This is addition to the body of knowledge. Nowadays we are emphasizing on the models. Okay, can you come out with a model which can be taken to the field and implement to solve the social and management problems as such. The next point is model building only. We emphasis on that. Your research will start with a theoretical model, and over a period of your voyage of research, that model will get purified because you are going to undertake so many pilot testings. And the final model, what you have, you will condense this final model with the help of the data what you have collected and observation what you have done in the field. But the care has to be taken that final model what you have, it need to put to test, because many times it might possible if you land up with collecting some kind of erroneous data, then your model would be having some kind of error and it may not work into the practice. Again, you are having an opportunity to rectify the model, revisit the model again and again, with revisit the field with that model again and again, you try to purify it and make that model workable. You are so lucky enough this generation, you are having a very nice statistical tools available with you, say SEM, that is with the help of amos structural equation model you can go for. Even some advanced regression models are also available which you can work it out, and even the discriminant model are there, or in a very simpler term, the theoretical models or the models which can be explained with the help of the flow diagram, so that you can mention. But now we as the member, or we as the authority in the panel of research, we expect that the researcher should come out with this kind of models. Can we have next slide, please? Next slide, please. Okay, this is prior to the last slide of presentation, wherein I'm going to talk about the only 4 points. Okay, actually, the list of ethics in research is very big, and it is expected that every researcher scientifically knows about this ethics, and we have to abide with, we have to follow it. Plagiarism, whenever you are citing the references, citing the text and data of other researchers, you have to give the credit. If you fail to give the credit, it will be termed as a plagiarism, and you stand for the penalties. Okay, now day by day, the rules of plagiarisms are getting very stricter. I think we allow plagiarism less than 10% only, not more than that. Earlier, we were allowing plagiarism up to 30%, and that itself communicates you that day by day, the rules of plagiarism are getting stricter. So you can use Mendeley, you can use Zotero or MS Word, and you can go for the scientific citations by which you can minimize the plagiarism. Then you have to give the liberty to the samples to participate in your research. That is very, very important. You cannot force samples to participate in your research. You have to maintain the confidentiality of the data what you have collected from the sample, and that is the commitment that we have given at the time of taking the interview, that the data what we collect from you as a sample will use it for academic purpose only. It will not be disclosed to the any other members. And the last is, I'm at opinion that rather it is science, researcher must be unbiased. Okay, researcher should not be. I mean, researcher must be unbiased, and whatever research reporting that he does, he should do it unbiasedly. Many times, some research scholars, they come to me and say or ask like that, sir, the null hypothesis is getting accepted and alternative hypothesis is getting rejected. Okay, no harm. if the data is behave like that, you have to accept those facts. Okay. Quite often, even the senior people in the research domain say that we have to prove the hypothesis. The very word prove, it shows that you are biased, isn't it? We are not there to prove the hypothesis. We are there only to test the hypothesis. I think with this, I end up with my presentation. And again, I extend heartfelt thanks to the organizers and members of the organizing team, especially Dr. Nitin Nayak, director of this institute, and Dr. Pratap Desai. I think Pratap Desai only drove me here. He talked to me a couple of days back, requested me to come here and have some deliberations with you. I was really felt proud because I'm getting a platform of Bharti Vidyapits. IMRDA, because I know that at Sangli you are doing a very commendable job in management field, and especially in the field of rural development. Definitely, other day I would love to drop in into your institute and have an interaction personally with the members, family members of IMRDA. So thank you once again. Now this forum is open for discussion. I would like to take some of your questions.
Yes. And now the session is open for QA session. Delegates are requested to ask the questions if any.
Out of curiosity, how many members are participated in FDP?
171 registered count is there.
Fantastic, fantastic.
And as we have open it on YouTube also, sir. We are streaming
Okay,
it live.
is
So
it fine?
it is available publicly.
Okay, okay. So today I'm going to get add tally into my friends network. So I'm going to get 171 more new friends, isn't it?
Yes, sir. And we
Fantastic.
also will get your network, sir.
Yes, it is there.
Okay,
Okay.
I have a question, sir.
Okay.
This is Mrs. Namrata Patil. I'm research
Okay.
scholar of BVDU, IMRDA Sangli.
Okay.
It was a very good presentation. My question is, sir, if there is a minimum number of literatures available, so what would be your suggestion on that for management studies?
Okay. Okay. Probably, if the minimum number of literature is available, it means that you are working on some new concept, and probably you are adopting the exploratory kind of research design. So
Yes, sir.
in this case, when the literature is not handily available, it is always prescribed that you talk with the stalwarts and experts in the domain. Okay, so for example, if you are dealing with the green marketing kind of subjects, wherein this is a new phenomena, this is a new concept, so much literature is not available right now. So what you can do is, the people who are indulged into green marketing as far as manufacturing, distribution are concerned, and some of the consumers are also there who really adore buying green products. So you can interview them, okay, and then you can get the number of variables from them. So that is one of the good ways. It means
Okay.
I'm talking about the qualitative kind of research. Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
So
I get it, sir. Thank you.
some moment, yeah, for some moment you have to shift for qualitative research.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Here is Anjali. Yeah. Anjali Gaikwad.
Yeah, I know you, madam. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. How are you, sir? Too long I saw you. It's too nice, sir.
Thank you. My
sir,
pleasure.
My question is here. That's what is the sequence of the research proposal? Means we are writing first the introductions, then review of the literatures, then third one is the hypothesis or what?
Okay, okay. Now it will answering.
Okay, sir.
Yes, yes. You are my student of MPhil, I know it. Answering this question, it will take much time. So I request all the participants, you just visit my SlideShare account, in which I have shared one document, Word document, and that is specifically devoted on the research protocol, wherein I have arranged this research protocol in a sequence with a little bit of explanation, which will help you to prepare your own research protocol. So that is better.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
and
sir.
Next question is, sir, what is the difference between computer application research and management research? This question is always in my mind, but I never get the answer.
I have my personal opinion and say on this. Okay, if you are saying converting the manual work to the computerized work, I don't term it as a research. If you are bringing something new which is not there into the field and which will really help the computer domain as such, then probably I'll think of terming it as research. Of course, this is the issue of discussion and debate, and I have had discussions and debates on this with the stalwarts of the stalwarts in the computer field. They are having their own opinion, but I really don't term converting manual work into the computerized work is a research. No.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
As sir said, please visit to his SlideShare account and material for more contents. Next question.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Good morning, sir. This is Mrs. Madhura Mane from Kolhapur.
Okay, madam.
Sir, as usual, your session was extremely helpful to us, sir. Sir,
Thank
you were talking about research which is based on model building.
Yes.
Sir, I am a research scholar and my research is precisely that. But
Okay.
my research is model building of requirements, sir. So
Okay.
when I'm modeling requirements, I'm going to make use of data flow diagrams. I'm going to make use of other diagrams in UML. But this is not going to be converted into a software through my research. Probably afterwards, people might use this model to convert it into a software.
Okay.
So how to test it, sir?
No, when you have to test it, then definitely you have to convert your model into the software.
Yes,
If your
sir.
model can be tested, if your model can be tested, taking it to the field, asking to the
Yes.
people, getting the data and
Yes.
check the validity, then it's okay. You need not to convert it into the software. But
Yes, sir.
if your model has a provision to convert it into software and test it, then necessarily you have to convert it into software and test it.
Okay, because the scope of my research is building a requirement analysis model, sir, where I am going to specify all the requirements. I'm going to add things found from the research review of literature gap, you know, which things are not there in the systems. I'm going to add that. I'm going to use different models to incorporate in the system, but it's not going to be a software. So how to
Okay.
test it, sir?
Now, if it is not a software, then definitely it is a format on a paper, isn't it?
Okay.
Okay.
It is
So,
requirement analysis, sir.
okay. So what is your conceptual domain or industrial domain of research? You are
Banking.
preparing the banking, no? So you
Yes,
have
sir.
to take that model to the bankers, and you have
Okay.
to have a one-to-one discussion with the bankers around your model. Fine.
Okay.
And whatever inputs your model requires, whether you are getting the inputs from the banker or not, that you have to test. Second is, if your model has n number of variables, and at the end of execution of your model on a banker, you have to ask to the banker anything has left unconsidered. If it has left, then your model is it is not complete. Okay. So whatever
Correct.
new variable that you are going to get from the bankers, you have to think of adding into your model. So like that way, you have to
Yes.
take the model to the maturity level.
Yes, sir. I have gathered requirements from bankers only, and based on that, plus adding my own that I have found in research review of literature gap, I'm going to develop a requirement analysis model, sir.
Okay. Okay. Fine. That can be discussed again.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Most welcome, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madhura ma'am. Is there any next question? Delegates can unmute themselves and ask question.
Sir,
Madam,
madam, I have got one small question for Bhola, sir. Can I ask one more?
Yeah, please continue.
Bhola, sir, just one question. I happen to read that when the sample size is more than 300, then it is assumed that normality is going to be there. What is your expert opinion on that, sir?
I'm not expert. I'm a student of research. And
no,
still
sir.
I am
No, we
making
know
mistake and learning out
expertise.
of my I'm learning out of my mistakes. But if you go by science, statistics, the books on statistics says that if your sample size is equal to 30 or more, then the data behaves normal. Okay. But again, my experience says when I take 30 samples, put it in a Excel sheet or maybe SPSS, all the time I did not get the normal distribution curve out of that
Yes.
data. So
Yes.
more the sample size in social sciences, it is likely to be less deviation and more normality. Okay. Now you can
Yes,
take
sir.
my
Yeah.
words as a thumb rule. Thumb rule. Again, I'm repeating. More the sample size in social sciences, lesser is the
Yes.
deviation, and more likely is to be
Ye-
the normality. Okay. So generally,
Yes,
I
sir.
prescribe my research associates. If calculated sample size is 300, you shoot sample size more than 300. Okay, let's go for 350, 400, something like that, and then
Okay.
probably we get some kind of normality. Even I have seen the researches wherein the sample size is huge, but the data is not behave normally. Probably the treatment of outliers is missing at that place. So you have to again consider the outliers, because outliers, they
Correct.
have an impact on your averages. At the moment you prune the outliers, it is quite likely that your data behave normal.
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Fine. Most welcome, madam.
Thank you, sir, for excellent explanation. So there is one more question in chat box, sir.
Okay.
How to apply research methodology for experimental research for analysis?
Very
Question is
simple.
asked by
When
Prashant Patil.
okay, Prashant, fine. So Prashant, when you are going for the experimental research, always you are having an hypothesis, okay? And generally, the experimental research, what I have seen in the literature, they are pre and post kind of thing. You are having the control kind of variable. You inject a particular experimentation, and you want to see what exactly the effect is there on a particular group of samples after injecting the experiment. So pre and post kind of researches are there, and yeah, necessarily you must have an hypothesis for experimental research. You have to take care about the two groups. One is control group and one is the experimental group. Okay, and you are going to conduct the experimentation on the experimental group. Okay, over to you, madam.
Yes, sir. Is there any question from delegates? We have done with chat box, sir.
Fine, fine.
Okay. With this, let's cooperate and develop each other for e-content development and research management, sir. Thank you very much for taking out time for us from your busy schedule. And in this pandemic situation, it took time to synchronize basically initially
True,
to share any
true.
desk and to share PPT, sir. But it was very enriching experience to gain knowledge from you, sir. We are dependent on technology for connecting with each other, and it's our pleasure to have you with us. On behalf of BVDU, IMRDA Sangli, I would like to thank our chief guest, Dr. Sarang Bhola, for his online presence. Thank you, sir.
I was rather scared because it's a Tuesday and often it's a power cut at Sadara district. So I already communicated Dr. Pratap that I'll send the video because, but I mean, the nature is blessed today,
Yes,
and
sir.
we
We
could get
had discussed,
connected
so
throughout the session.
anyhow
Yeah.
we got connected. Thank you for
Yes.
that, sir.
Yes. My pleasure. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
The end of story is the new beginning for many others. You can see how story behind the scene is. I request to Dr. Suvarna Patil to play the story scene.
हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। हो मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। हो मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। होगी शांति चारों ओर, होगी शांति।
Thank you very much. Now I request our respected director, sir, Dr. Nitin Nayak, to address the delegates. Please, sir.
Let me first thank my friend Dr. Bhola sir. Your session was wonderful. We enjoyed, and I'm
Thank
sure
you.
all the research students they also enjoy. It is a very knowledgeable session. I thank all the delegates for participating for 7 days and your contribution for making our FDP successful is really great. I thank you all my expert, those who have taken sessions in the 7 days FDP. I thank you for sparing your valuable time and being part of FDP. Once again, I thank Bola sir and request him. The earlier Pratap Desai sir requested him to come to my institute. So whenever the lockdown is open,
Yes,
I
yes.
request you, sir, visit our institute and
Sure,
let's
sir.
have interactive sessions for the research students. So thank you very much and have a great day. All the
Thank
best.
you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day to all of you.
I,
Thank you.
I, I thanks Kolhapur, Sangli, Sholapur and Karad, Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute, New Law College, then Nursing College Sangli, all of them taken part in this FDP. Thank you very much for your contribution. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind cooperation, support, and consistent motivation, sir. You had been a great support to us, and because of this only it is possible, sir. So now I hand over the session to Dr. Pratap Desai to proceed further.
Thank you, Dr. Manisha. First of all, let me apologize for the technical problem in the morning, and I will just summarize the 7 days what we have done, and then just we'll go for vote of thanks. And if any participant want to give feedback, he or she can give it. So the FTP was on the e-content development and research methodology, and we tried to connect e-content and research methodology, how e-content can help or how digitalization can help research and so on. So we had an overall 7 days of this faculty development. The first day, our resource person was Dr. Prashant Patil from IMRDA itself. He gave uh, his topic was Google form customization. And in the afternoon session, we had Professor B.D. Patil sir, again from Bharati Vidyapeeth IMRDA. He spoke on Google Classrooms, how to use it, how we can make effective lectures on Google Classroom. On the second day, we talked about Google Docs and Google Site. This was again by Dr. Manisha Shinde from BVDU IMRDA Sangli again. And in the afternoon, it was myself, Dr. Pratap Desai, and the topic was research how to begin with. On the third day, we had in resource persons from Educational Multimedia Research Center Pune, which is an UGC initiative under this. It is located and they work from Pune University, and the resource persons they talked on creation of MOOCs, and the resource person was Vinod Kalgi and Shrikant Thakkar. On the fourth day, Dr. A.M. Guru from Shivaji University gave guidelines for how to calculate API. And in the afternoon session, we had a session on Mendeley and research editing tool. Again, for the resource person was Baljit Kaur from BVDU, that is Bharati Vidyapeeth IMED Pune. Okay. And the fifth day was for creating blocks. We had resource person Dr. Satyajit Hembade sir, again from Bharati Vidyapeeth IMED Pune. And the afternoon session, there was session on common creative licenses by Dr. Suvarna Patil from Bharati Vidyapeeth IMRDA Sangli. On the sixth day, the session was on open broadcast softwares, OBS. The resource person was Professor Dhanashri Sastrabudhe from BVDU IMRDA Sangli. And in the afternoon session, we had Dr. Rajendra Pujari, who spoke on plagiarism, again from Bharati Vidyapeeth IMRDA Sangli. And today, the seventh day, we had Dr. Sarang Bhola from Satara, Shivaji University, Kolhapur, and he talked about research, and he gave many features about research, and he made research much simpler. Okay, so this is overall summary of this 7 days. Now I request the participants that yes, if anybody is interested in giving feedback online, they can come forward.
Yes, delegates, you can unmute yourself and start.
Thank you, Dr. Pratap Desai, sir, for giving us an opportunity to express our feelings. Since last 7 days, we are having a really intellectual treat by having all these sessions from the intellectual resource persons. I'm very thankful for giving us this opportunity to listen all of you. And I express my sincere thanks to Dr. Nitin Nayak as well as Manisha Shinde, madam. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Ali from Bahrain. We'd like to listen you, our international delegate. Are you there?
Hello.
Yes, Nilima, madam.
First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Nitin Nayak, Dr. Pratap Desai, and all the organizers for such a wonderful FDP. Though it was very difficult for us to attend all these sessions, but we made it. We could attend all the sessions, and I must say that all the resource persons were excellent. And though we are guiding students at all the levels,
Could you please switch on your video?
many new things, especially the quality check was excellent today. So thank you. Well done, the whole team, and keep it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, any other delegate? Would you like to share?
Hello.
Yes.
I'm Dr. Praveen Dani from Nursing College, Sangli.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yeah, very informative. I must congratulate Dr. Nitin Naik sir and the whole IMRDA team. It was really wonderful sessions, and then I must say here that we have started applying those things, like especially for Google Forms. We have created Google Form for our own students and then asking their replies. It was really helpful for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
It's our pleasure. Any other delegate want to share their experience?
Hello. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am, and good morning, everyone. I'm from Mumbai. Actually, I'm on the one faculty from Mumbai, from Bharatiya Nursing College. I thank to the organizer team, especially my thanks to Nilima Bhore, ma'am. She forwarded the this information to us. But we all are busy in our online sessions. But really, to say the part that we learned all these 7 days, it was very informative, and whatever we want, even whenever we ask something, like even the link what we used to discuss in the WhatsApp group was very active way, I can say. But from the first day to till today, like whatever even our PG students during this COVID scenario, they're stressful how to like make the tool, so how to make the videos if they want to do the video assisted programs and all. Then like the day before yesterday, plagiarism was very good, because like for a short time, like for 100 words, how to do. Then Urkut, we got this software from our university, but still how to utilize and how to make it, that was very effective. And like Google Docs, Really, one of the students yesterday, she called me, sir, thank you, you send it. I could convert my English content to Marathi, because we are having a tool validations period now we are going on. So it was very effective way. And really, all the speakers were very much excellent, very experienced they were. And I would like to say that in a very simple way, it was explained. Like the most important part was the demo. Like whatever demo we could do side by side. Like I was, when it was something important, I used to keep on my mobile and I used to use my laptop. So that was a very way that yes, the like we could do like some part like video, how to like the open OBS. What was yesterday was thought. Really, I was doing side by side, and we could do that. It was an effective way. Thank you each and every member for the 7 days, like bombarding so much information. And really, we were nursing, we are more towards the clinical side, towards the students, but techno we were a little bit back. But you made that techno, because now online is going on everywhere. We are having this problems, even me myself, but I could now learn. Even the like they were yesterday, like what we learned about the Google, that how to create it was very difficult. But that Google this classroom, and specifically the form, how to generate it. Really, it was demo part was very good. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, and all the organizing team. Thank you, and congratulations first of all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. As you were trying hands-on also, and now I expect you will be successful to learn all those things. So, is there anybody else? Please start your video and then talk. You can unmute yourself. Any other delegate?
चष्माचं सारखं
Yes, Nikam sir, would you like to say a few things? Nikam sir from Karad.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please start your video, sir.
Hello.
You're audible, sir. Yes.
Yes, madam. Good morning, one and all.
Morning.
It gives me great pleasure to propose a vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank IMRD team for conducting a very nice and informative 7-day faculty development program. And we learn a lot in this 7-day FDP, and each and every faculty and faculty members who contributed delivered very nice information to us. Once again, I would like to thank you all, and we will look forward, if it is possible, to have a joint venture, and we will conduct same type of faculty development program in coming days.
Sure, sir.
Yes, sir. Once again, I would like to thank Director Honorable Nitin Naik, sir, Jamshendekar Madam, Pratap Desai, sir, and all team of IMRDA Sangli. Once again, I thank you all from bottom of my heart. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Anybody else? Nidhi Verma, ma'am, are you there? Nirmala, ma'am. Mrs. Nirmala Londe.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to share your experience?
Yes, I want to share something here.
Yes, please start your video, ma'am, if possible.
Yes, I'm visible.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Hello.
Good morning to all of you. First, I have to congratulate all
hello.
team members. And first thing is I congratulate to the Dr. Nitin Naik sir, who motivate for developing this FDP. and it is too good. Means what is the today's need? It is cover all these things in this FDP, and I am really thankful to all the BVDU IMRDA team. So it is too great and two nice sessions, and it is you have taken the lot of efforts for this session. Really, it is good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam.
I think Nirmala madam wanted to say something. Nirmala Londe ma'am.
Yes, I want to say that the session was very informative and very good. Thank you very much for arranging this kind of very informative.
Thank you, ma'am. It's our pleasure. Okay. I request to Dr. Pratap Desai, sir, to proceed further.
Yeah. So with this, we come to end of this particular FDP. Now, let me give vote of thanks. Yes. First of all, I am thankful to Bharati Vidyapit, Deep University, for allowing us for conducting this particular FDP. Secondly, Dr. Nitin Nayak, the director of this particular institute, and he always gave us free hand to work and select the resource persons. And because of him only, this FDP was a success. And then I would like to thank especially to Dr. Manisha Shinde, Dr. Zamsandikar, and other faculties who contributed a lot, and especially for Manisha Shinde and Zamsandikar madam. And behind the screen, there were many people who were working. There is Dr. Aisha Mulla, Dhanya Kumar Wadar, Abdar sir, and many technical people were there. I would like to thank all the resource persons, Dr. Prashant Patil, Professor B.D. Patil, Dr. Manisha Shinde, then Mr. Vinod Kalgi and Srikant Thakkar from E-Multimedia, then Dr. A.M. Gurav sir, Dr. Baljit Kaur, then Dr. Satyajit Hembade sir, Dr. Suvarna Patil, Professor Dhanashri Sahasrabuddhe, Dr. Rajendra Pujari, and Dr. Sarang Bhola. Also, I would like to thank all the session persons, Dr. R.S. Pujari, Dr. Amarja Nargunde, Dr. Pallavi Zamsandekar, Dr. Madhumita Naik, Professor K. Venkatesh, Professor Jagdish Patil sir, and for technical support and feedback forms, I would like to thank Akhilesh sir.
Dr. Pratap Desai was also one of the resource persons, so I would like to thank you, sir.
Oh, my pleasure, madam. So with this, we come to end of this particular FDP. And most important, I would like to thank all the participants from all the different colleges from Sangli, Kolhapur, Karad, Solapur, Pune, who participated and shared their experiences with us. And I hope in future also we'll be conducting such kind of projects. That is, we will be coming up with webinars, conferences, and FDPs. And with this note, I would like to stop here and thank you. A big thank you to all.
Thank you. Gratitude is the fairest blossom which springs from soul. So thank you very much, everyone.
So, but
Thank you,
if
madam.
any, but sir, if anyone, if any link is there, so please kindly share in the group or send it through mail. That will be better, sir.
Which link, sir?
Sir, if any webinars or any similar
Yeah,
workshop
sure,
you are going
sure.
to conduct, so at least to colleges, so it will be very helpful for
Yes,
all of
yeah.
us. Thank you, sir.
We will maintain this WhatsApp group and we will
Yes, sir.
communicate you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.